Welcome back and hello to all of you listening. This is the Venue Success Podcast. I'm your host, Tirzah Caffee, and our theme in season 2 is Tools of the Trade, the pros behind the process. And today I am joined by the beautiful Susan Landfried, owner of Rocking Hill Ranch in Cocoa, Florida. Welcome to the show, Susan.
Hi, thank you, Tirzah, for having me.
I am so excited. This is a new connection. And for those of you that have been really intently listening to this whole season, I am kind of blown away by how many people have just come out of the woodwork saying that they wanted to be on this season because there really is more tools out there than there's ever been before. And I'm so grateful for that. If you've been in the industry for any length of time, like I have, like for a million years, when we back in the early 90s, there wasn't education like there is
Right,
now, and there wasn't even social media, so there was so
right.
much of us felt like we were on an island. And I've loved how this season has really even opened my eyes up to just like this broader community of people that are really trying to add their specialties and their tools into our toolboxes as venue owners, and it's super cool. Susan, seen your name around for a while because of the Facebook group.
Yeah, yeah.
I always kind of throw shade at some of these Facebook groups on my podcast, and I really shouldn't. I love them, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But Susan started one, and I was really glad that she did, that was specifically for new wedding venue owners. I will make
Yes,
sure to post that link in our show notes, um, because there's an array of experience for those of us that have been doing this, right? There's people that are like, it's just my dream to have a wedding venue, and they're trying to gobble up
yes,
all the info. And you put them with someone like me that's been doing it for my whole entire life. The questions that we ask are definitely very different, right?
yes.
And Susan has done such a great job moderating that Facebook group. Kudos to you. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
But now there's like what, few thousand people in that Facebook group, right?
Yeah, over
Yeah.
3,000 now. It grew exponentially really, really fast, which was an
Mm-hmm.
eye-opener for me. As, people coming into the venue industry, I was quite
Right.
shocked at how big of a response I got and how quick.
Yeah, yeah. No, obviously it was a felt need. So we're going to talk more about that. But before we get too much into the weeds, it's time for crazy stories with Tirzah, because
Yeah,
people have lost their minds. Okay, here's today's story. And this happened probably in the early, I don't know, 2010s, like kind of early on when we opened our fourth venue. And unfortunately, I was not at this event. And maybe it's good I wasn't there, because I think I probably would have got into it with this person. But there is a mom that brought her 3-year-old to the wedding. And I think she was actually a flower girl or something like that. But I'm a big believer that kids should go home at a certain point. Like, this is an adult party. Can we just say, like, this is not an appropriate place all of the time for a child to be? Like, there's crazy music with curse words and drinking and people doing inappropriate things on the dance floor. Like,
for
we know
sure.
that this is not a place for a child. Anyway, so she was there and running around like crazy, like all the little kids do, right? And it comes to the end of the night, and her mom had been drinking a lot. And you could probably see where this is going when I tell you we had a sparkler grand exit. Well, the little girl was standing with her mom, and the mom, evidently, again, I wasn't there. My wedding planner told me the mom was being all crazy and everything, and she was waving what now my
Sparkler.
the sparkler. Oh, good heavens, people. I've only had half a cup of coffee. So she was waving her sparkler around, and some of the ash fell off and went across her face like diagonally. And she ended up, they had to take her to the hospital. She got second or third degree burns, whatever. Well, I hear about this after the fact, and the mom actually contacted me wanting to hold me responsible for what happened with her daughter. Well, when I had heard that she'd been drinking and all this kind of stuff, I mean, we kind of went back and forth, but it was one of the big reasons why we decided to stop having sparkler grand exits at our venue, because I'm like, this is such a major liability. And just actually a couple months before that, a groom just had his own sparkler, and it was one of those big, the long lasting ones, and they're big. One of those fell on his chest. It went through his suit coat, his shirt, his undershirt, and burnt his chest. I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
what kind of sparkler was that? Like, it must have caught fire somehow on him. But
My goodness.
it was that situation that really was like, man, what were we thinking, wedding planners or whoever came up with this sparkler grand exit? Let's get a bunch of people drunk and hand them fire. Like, I'm sure nothing could go wrong. But for a while, those sparkler grand exits were just like all the rave. Like, people, it was like they were choosing to book a venue or not if the venue allowed them to have sparklers. I'm like, are you kidding me? And we got a lot of pushback about it. And I would always be super upfront. I'm like, listen, two things have happened on my property, this and this, and I don't want that to happen to you. Like, it's a liability for you as well, right? If someone got significantly hurt, people are so crazy. And I think a lot of insurance companies now aren't even really liking us when you talk about risk management, right? If you're working with someone like Justin at Nuptial, I guarantee you he's going to say, hey, I think I would probably not do that.
Stop
But
doing that.
there's a lot that still do. But so I don't know if you ever had any bad experiences with sparklers at your wedding venue or not, but I just can't. I just can't.
No, we haven't really had any issues with it. We've done it, like you said, it's popular, especially in the type of venue that we have, the very rustic outdoor
Yep.
barn type venue. But hearing you mention the bride or the mother trying to hold you responsible, we've had that story just recently that had to do with
Mm-hmm.
drinking. And,
Yeah.
so what happened just real quick with that is we had a bride that got overly inebriated, we'll say, and she
Mm-hmm.
passed out in the men's bathroom. And the mother came back later and they had to call the ambulance and take her off and everything. Anyway, the mother was trying to hold us responsible. And what we found out from the photographer later is they were doing shots and whatnot in the bridal cottage. So we've actually, and it's funny how you say we've changed our contract a gazillion times
Of
because of
course.
things that happen. And that was one of
Yes.
them that
Yes.
we've started to now like limit drinking in the bridal cottages and, because of
Yep.
that happening. So I can totally
For
relate
sure.
to whatever goes on at your venue. If it goes wrong, God forbid, they're going to try to hold you. Somebody is going to
Of
probably
course.
blame you
Yeah.
for it. If the food's
Absolutely.
bad, you're going to be blamed for it, right?
I know. And I think, kind of full circle back to what we're talking about with those new venue owners group. I think it's the thing that like 90% of the time I don't say anything in there because I'm like, okay, just need to like vent, they need to talk about it. Like, but I think that people get into this industry having such a naivety about the chaos that can
100%.
happen at these events, or they are such people pleasers and they're wanting to say yes to everything, and then they
Yes,
realize, oh my
you
gosh, like I'm
can't.
getting taken advantage of. And
Yes, and they
like,
will definitely.
absolutely, absolutely. So it's kind of good. Like, I don't mind sometimes when people come into your group and they're like, hey, it's been my dream to own a venue forever, this is what I'm thinking. And then you could scroll and see the comments of people that are just like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And a lot of the groups I've seen this. And but again, I think it is really important for us to go into this eyes wide open as much as possible,
Yes,
and knowing that when you are hosting these parties, any crazy thing could happen. I mean, we sold our venue on April 1st. It was, I don't know, this actually happened after we sold. I heard because my kids still work there. And they told me that the people that had bought the venue didn't have anyone responsible for watching the fire pit. And I'm freaking out inside, right? Like, I'm freaking out. Like, I know that alcohol and fire is a disaster. And so we always have a fire pit attendant. And the clients actually
yeah,
paid for it. If they want a fire pit, the price includes, the material and an attendant. No one ever balks at it because they understand that that's a liability. It's a danger, especially if there's kids there. Well, these two kids pick up wood, like these long sticks that were in the fire, and they're playing like lightsabers with sticks that are on fire, and no one is even
gosh,
watching them. And I'm like, good Lord, like, you just have to be so careful, especially when there's kids at weddings, and if you have water inside, if
yes,
you have fire inside, if you have
yes.
fireworks, if there's just so much, right? But anyway, I digress. We could talk about this forever. Crazy things that
Gosh.
happen.
Yes.
So I asked Susan on, we're going to talk a little bit about something really cool that she's bringing from a tool standpoint into the market. But I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit. Tell us about your venue. So Rocking Hill Ranch is Cocoa, Florida. For those of you that don't know,
Yes.
it's like near Cocoa Beach. It's near, what was it? The other landmark that you said? It's near the
The
Space
Space
Center.
Center.
Yes.
Mhm.
So a really
Yeah.
great area. When we lived in Orlando, we went that route all of the time, and we would count the alligators all the way till we got to the beach.
Yeah.
They're all, like, lined on the side of the
Yeah,
highway.
'cause you cross the St. John's coming over, yeah.
Exactly,
Lots of
exactly.
gators in there, yeah, so we're about 45 minutes east of Orlando, so we do get a lot of couples that come from Orlando that are looking
Mhm.
for, we are a rustic, outdoor wedding venue. We're our reception barn, so we were an old horse stall barn,
Okay.
like, 12 years ago. We
Mhm.
ran a horse stall or horse stable for about 10 years. We acquired the property in 2004. We bought the existing house and built the barn. So when my daughter decided to get married here in 2012, that's when we turned into the venue.
Classic,
And we've been running.
classic.
I know, I know. I didn't even know barn weddings existed. Okay. So I've
Goodness.
been,
They did.
yes, yeah, so, I kept waiting for the trend to end. When we started, it was very, very popular. We were really the only one in the county. So now we're
Wow.
surrounded by a lot of
Of course you are.
competition. Yes. So we've been flooded with the market now. So I've really had to learn to reinvent myself and really
Sure.
embrace who we are as a venue. And we are an authentic wedding barn. And, we market that and we're proud of
Yeah.
that. We do have, I heard you mention water. We have a 6-acre lake on the property. We have a big old oak tree that the ceremony site's under. So, we have a very beautiful setting. We're out in the country, but yet
Mhm.
we're not too far from civilization. So we're about
Right,
20
right.
miles from the beach, 45 minutes from Orlando. We have the Space Center, Disney, so we get a lot of destination couples as well
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
in.
for sure. So are you a
So,
seasonal venue with your location? How many weddings is kind of like your sweet spot that you kind of got to the point where you're like, this is the max?
right. So the max we've ever done is 45 in a year. We
Okay.
are seasonal. We're open about 8 months out of the year. We do not have air condition. So in Florida, that does limit
Ooh,
us to doing weddings out of season or, out of
yeah,
the summer season. But we use that time as downtime to refurbish
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
maintenance and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Sometimes it's hard to do that because it's so hot.
Right.
That's what we're doing right now. We're painting our bridal cottage. We're repainting in there and we repainted the outside of the barn. So all of those things, especially in Florida, Florida sun is horrendous on,
Yeah, yeah.
everything outside. So that's what we're
So
doing
tell
right
me,
now.
like, I know that you're bivocational, if you want to call it that. So during this whole time, you were still working like outside of the wedding business, correct? You said that you're a dental
Yes.
hygienist. Well, how talk
Yes.
to listeners about how you juggled owning a wedding venue and having
Yeah.
an additional job.
Well, it's been interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I started the venue, and like I said, we started it because my daughter got married here, and it was,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that venue owner that you made reference to earlier, where I kind of got stars in my eyes looking at how
Mm-hmm.
beautiful our property was as a wedding venue. And I really just backed into it, not really knowing what I was getting into. I
Yeah.
was a dental hygienist full time. I actually at one point had retired for about a year and then I was working in a dental office. So it really became challenging as we got busier because I told you we were the only one in the county. So we were really busy. We grew really fast in a short period of time. So I stepped back and I retired. I ran the venue for a while. I started as an all inclusive. I just knew something inside me said, you've got to do all inclusive. You've got to have a coordinator that, works with you. So it
Mm-hmm.
was me and her for a while. My husband did all of the grounds work and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still does because we own it, but retired, did it full time. And then that's when the competition started creeping in and my business cut like in half. So that's when I said, okay, I'm going to have to go back to work because I don't
Mm,
know what's going on. And I really didn't realize that that's what was happening. So I really encourage new venue owners, through the group and everything to really get out there and do your research, find out what's going on
absolutely.
around you.
Yep.
Because when I realized that this is what was happening, because I would have couples come in and they're like, yeah, this venue,
Mm,
that venue. And I'm like, who are these people? I've never heard of these venues. And that's when I really had to reinvent myself. So
right.
I found the current job that I have right now in the nursing homes, and I do it very part time. So it worked well for me. And the dental
Hmm.
hygiene profession in itself, you can work part-time. That's an option. So for someone
Yeah.
that's doing a 9 to 5, and in the beginning, when you're starting out, a lot of people still, I mean, and I
You need
encourage you,
to.
keep your
Yeah.
day job because,
Yes. Yes.
it is, events can be very fickle. The event industry can be very
Right.
fickle.
I'm glad you
I,
said that, and I was hoping that you would say that, is that if you're starting out and you don't have stable income from wherever it may be, like, you need to keep your job. You
yeah,
really need to
don't quit
keep
your
your
day
job.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because you just don't know. Like, there you just don't know. I know there's a fair amount of people, because we as entrepreneurs are really great at taking risks, and it's good
Yes.
for the most part, but what I am seeing is a trend of new owners not even making it 5 years. I'm seeing a 3 to 4 year time span right now. Most of the people that are selling that I see aren't just people that are retiring. It's people that have bought a venue with rose-colored glasses and
Yes.
really realized this can't be a I can't do this part-time. Like, I have my full-time job. This is my bread and butter. This is my career. This is a ladder that I'm going to climb. I'm just doing this quote on the side. There's
Hmm.
very few situations that I can think of where a venue is a side hustle.
That's
I
correct.
can't
Yeah.
see it. It really is such a big thing. Again, I apologize for saying this again, but I can't help it. Like, even as a retirement gig, it's not ideal. Like, it's very hard on your body, like,
Yes.
physically. I mean, I don't
Yes.
know how often you've carried 6 chairs from a reception space 100 feet across your property. Like,
Mhm.
there's just things that you don't think about that are physically so taxing, and it's like, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna hire someone to do that. Well, it takes money to hire someone to
That's
do
right.
that, and if your venue
That's
isn't
right.
making any, like, and again, I'm not saying this to be discouraging, but these are the kind of conversations that I feel like are so incredibly important for us as venue owners to have, which
Yeah.
really brings us to why I asked you to be on the show today, because I really want to talk about
Mhm.
this. Is like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of educators in this space, and it was really important to me as one of the educators that's, you know, out there speaking and doing all these kinds of things. I don't want to be a gatekeeper for other people that are doing amazing things. I don't even have the capacity to coach 0.9% of you. Like, I take so few clients.
Right.
I think what Susan is doing is really, really important. And I'm going to let you kind of share a little bit about that. But again, for you as listeners, I want you to see and hear from me that I am not the gatekeeper. This whole season has been like, this person does this and this and this and this. And there's room for all of us because we all consume education in a different way. But
Yes.
again, I think the biggest thing about this whole season in general is education. I want to urge you, like, if you're listening to this podcast, kudos to you because this is education for you, but you need to consume as much as possible. You
Yes.
need to put yourself at different tables. Everyone has a different little like spin on things, right? Like, I'm an all inclusive girl. When people think of all inclusive weddings, I know that they think about me. Like, that is my niche. Benford is like, she's very much a different niche because, she's a venue only space. And so she has done a fantastic job teaching people how to really monetize that to the best and have, like, when you think of Benford, you think she's building businesses to help us not burn out, right? And so I think the thing that Susan has created is really special in that she's really trying to, again, pull a lot of these mainline educators
Yes.
together. And I'm not going to spoil it. Tell us what you've created.
Well, you're exactly right. So I'm trying to pull in as many educators as I can for the experience of being able to go because I know when I started my venue, like I said, I kind of backed into it. I didn't have a clue about what it was to run a wedding venue, even though I had been in the wedding industry. I started as a silk floral designer in the 80s. That kind of segued me into as I did the flowers for the brides in my church, I started coordinating and planning. And fast forward to today, owning a wedding venue is completely different. And I thought because, oh, I'm in the industry, I know what I'm doing, I can, do this. I was in for a rude awakening and I had to
Uh-huh.
learn a lot of things the hard way. And as you mentioned, there was not a lot of resources out there
No.
for me when things got tough, like I mentioned and I had to reinvent myself. I had to dig in and start educating myself, and that's when I realized it was very important for me, and every venue owner, every business owner in general, no matter what
Uh-huh.
kind of business, you have to stay educated in your field of expertise.
Uh-huh.
Even in hygiene, we have to take continuing
Yeah,
education courses
absolutely.
every 2 years to keep our
Yeah.
license up. So
Yeah.
if we're not doing that, then we're not doing our job.
Let me pause you for a second here because before you kind of talk about this platform that you've created, I want to caution listeners about Facebook groups. And you don't know who's educating you on the other side of that keyboard. And I think that it's
True.
great for community and you get some great advice in there too. I'm not saying that. Like, I have my own Facebook group too, but you just got to be careful. You got to make sure, like, there was a time when I saw someone giving advice and they didn't even own a venue. And it
Wow,
was something very specific that they shouldn't probably have weighed in their opinion on. And it wasn't great advice. And so I just think sometimes you don't know who's on the other end. And so making sure that you're getting, you go do hygiene, continuing education somewhere, you want to make sure that that person actually knows what they're talking
right.
about, that they are an expert in their field and not just some keyboard warrior that is giving their opinion, more than like really vetted
100%.
advice. So that
Yes.
kind of leads into this app that at the time of this recording, it's still in the launch phase. So just fair warning with
Yes.
that. But tell us a little bit about WedEd Academy.
Okay, so WedEd Academy is going to be a resource for, I started it primarily for new wedding venue owners, and it
Mm-hmm.
is going to be, and new planning businesses as well. So there's going to be content for both, but my passion was to start out helping new venue owners
Mm-hmm.
to be able to
Mm-hmm.
get the foundation, build a solid foundation, do the research, teach them kind of step by step what they need to do to prepare before they ever even go looking for a property or looking
Right.
for a venue to purchase or build and all of those different scenarios. And even in the course that I wrote, I start really with your mindset, just getting positive mindset about, I think that's why I've been able to survive the ups and downs of the industry and COVID and all of those things is my determination and digging in
Mm-hmm.
and getting the resources I need. So, with that being said, not having a lot in the very beginning, I wanted to put this together so that, like you said, it takes a village. I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the
Mm-hmm.
answers.
Mm-hmm.
But as a whole, the community of educators and experienced venue owners will have those answers. Somebody will have them somewhere. And if they don't, we'll all collaborate together and help you find them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what motivated me to start the app. And it being an app itself, there is the desktop version that will be available if you want to sit and consume your content that way. That's perfectly fine. But the app really allows you to be on the go because we're all
Mm-hmm.
busy. We're all,
Yeah,
if
for
you are
sure.
working a day job, like for me with the hygiene, and today the reason why I keep that hygiene job is because I'm going into nursing home facilities. So that's a need that's there. And when I got this job, and I'm only in the facilities 2 hours a day. So it allows me to run my venue and
Mm-hmm.
begin my coaching and the app and all of these other things that I want to do going into retirement. So it's a feel good thing. It's a very good need, and I continue to do it for those reasons. But I'm on the road, and that's how I consume my content. And it just gave me the idea.
Huh.
It's like, what if I designed an app that I had new venue owner coming into it, had their resources of education at their fingertips. So if they
Right.
want to look at a particular, if they want to go to Venue Success Podcast, they can go there. They
Uh-huh.
can purchase a course from you, or they can
Uh-huh.
reach out to you for one-on-one mentorship. And then if there's a particular subject that you're struggling in, like tours and sales, you can go in the library itself where all the content will lie, and you just plug and play. And you can,
Uh-huh.
listen to it while you're in the car or laying on the beach or wherever you're
Uh-huh.
at, you can
Uh-huh.
continue to consume content. And that's how it worked best for me. And that's what inspired me to give me the idea. Is just I know that everybody's on
Uh-huh.
their phones, and an app just made sense.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think, having vetted resources inside of one portal is a really important thing. And we were talking about this before we hit record. It's like, I was asking her, who are some of the other educators that you have in there? Because I'm pretty sure I know all of them, pretty sure, for the most part. And just making sure that the people that are inside of there have a proven track record with success, that they know what they're
Absolutely.
doing, that they're just not, pulling information from ChatGPT or something like this. Like these are real life venue owners or ex venue owners that have expertise in certain areas, which I think that's really, really great. And again, there's a lot of people out there more than ever doing great things for the industry. But in my mind, there's no such thing as too much. There's just not. And people like to
Right.
consume content in different ways. There's a lot of people that are even scared to hire someone, the financial investment of hiring a one-on-one person. Um,
Mhm.
I would challenge that because I've seen people that have hired me. They've been in business for a year, hired me. They're sold out for the next, almost 2 years, right? Expedite your business astronomically when you invest in either one on one or even something as simple as an app where you can be sitting on the beach or driving your kids to school and listening to something to further
Absolutely.
your business. So I'm really, really excited about it. Again, as of right now, Susan is still like in the weeds, working her tail off, getting all of the kinks out on the
Yeah.
app before it goes. But I've already been funneling some of my information to her. Trainings and things, and we've got yeah, some fun stuff coming for those that are going to be inside of the app. So I'm really excited. Did I see, and I hate to put you on the spot, are you going to be at Wedding MBA this year?
I am. Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Do you have a booth on the trade floor?
I do.
On the show floor?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm pretty sure when we release this podcast, that the wedding MBA will be coming up in a couple of weeks. So be sure if you're listening to
Yes.
go find Susan. I'm sure
Yes.
you'll be in all the venue
Yeah.
owner sessions and all that fun stuff. I am speaking
Mhm.
on Tuesday night,
Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon, one of the first speakers in the venue room. So be sure
Yeah.
and
It's
find
exciting.
Susan, say hello.
Yeah.
Absolutely okay to do a shoulder tap and get to know someone. That is such an important part
Yes.
of, I think, going to some of these conferences is the content's fine. You'll hear some repetition. That's just normal. Don't complain about that. But I think it's those personal connections that we make with people, like-minded individuals that are, I think that's the gold of those in-person events for sure. So before we sign off today, I just am curious, like, what would you say has been one of your greatest challenges? Aside from, I know you're dealing with oversaturation, we could all attest to that. But what would you say has been one of your biggest challenges and maybe how you overcame that challenge in your venue?
Yeah. So that was, kind of what I had pointed to earlier, because the oversaturation really has been the biggest challenge that I
Uh-huh.
can think of outside of COVID. And
Sure, sure.
that oversaturation happened prior to COVID. And just, being able to overcome it really was the education and learning that
Mm,
suddenly my pool of couples coming into the venue had diminished almost like in half.
that's
And like
crazy.
you had mentioned earlier, the statistic says that 50% of all new venue owners in the first 5 years will fail. So
Huh?
that's a pretty large percentage. So I didn't know that statistic when
Mhm.
I had to dig in, but really it's all about the education. And I had to take a step back and say, well, do I just close or do I
Right.
dig in and try to figure out how to remain successful and regain
Right.
that? And one of the things that I learned was that I was authentic and that all of these other buildings around me that were being built to look like a barn, but they were not an authentic barn. And come to find out that was, a positive attribute that we had that, I mean, we always were that, but we didn't
Mhm.
market it as such. So through
Mhm.
education, I was able to learn how to market myself, how to reinvent
Mhm.
myself to be able to continue to be successful. And that's,
Mhm.
what I attribute me being here today because,
Mhm.
it is tough out there. And
Yeah.
the other thing I wanted to mention too, real quick, is that you mentioned the value in education. So we spent a lot of money getting into this business, right? We purchase venues or we build
Mhm.
venues.
Mhm.
And we spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of compare it to the bride that's getting married and she's coming to your venue and she wants to DIY everything. She doesn't feel like she wants to make the investment of a coordinator or a planner. And she
Mhm.
runs off and starts planning her wedding. And then about a halfway or three-quarters of the way, if she even makes it that far, she realizes she's in over her head. She has no idea what she's doing and she's panicking. Now she's reaching
Mhm.
out to the coordinator, the planner for help. I almost
Mhm.
attribute the new venue owner to that as well
Mhm.
because I experienced that same thing. I got into it. I didn't really have the resources though. Like you said, Facebook wasn't really on the scene in that aspect of groups.
No.
And
Yeah.
then, nobody to ask, what do I do next? And, make the investment, whatever it is, even the small investment. And that's one of the
Mhm.
reasons I'm doing the app membership on a monthly basis is so that people can afford it. And then when they get to the place where they feel like they really need more help, they can do the one-on-one, they can take the coaching programs,
Absolutely.
it and it's kind of a stair-step way to keep you informed and educated when
Mhm.
you may not have $10,000 for a coaching course or whatever it is right up
Right.
front. But then
Right.
as
Right.
you get into it and you see, hey, I really need help here, it's an investment. We spend a lot of money on our businesses. So I just want to encourage new venue owners or any venue owner,
Mhm.
keep investing in education and coaching. You need that person
Yeah.
sometimes to come along beside you and, don't make the same mistakes that I did. And, you don't need to because the resources are there now.
And I love that. You don't need to. You do not have to struggle alone. We go to a church and one of their slogans that they say is that we struggle well together. And I love that. It's like
Yeah.
life is hard, business ownership is hard. Like there's just this world is hard, right? And to have
Yes.
people that are, that are in the same boat with you and you're struggling well together. And because there's not all struggle is bad, right? Like I believe that struggle and hardships help you be better at what you do, right? Like if it was just this clear sailing,
That's right.
easy ride, everyone would be doing it,
That's
right?
right. That's
And
right.
so the struggle is okay. And if you're listening and you're like, oh my gosh, like I am like, I'm depressed. I have anxiety. I cannot sleep at night. I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. I want you, and I'm sure Susan could testify to this, like, feel seen right now. Feel seen because I have been there with you. I have been in like situations where we sold everything we had and moved into a rental house during COVID. I mean, sold everything. Sold my dream land. We had 7 acres in the woods and we had designed our beautiful, like, dream retirement home. Sold it all to keep our venue alive, to keep paying my employees during COVID. Like, and would I do it again? 1000%. I would do it again. But I'm telling you,
Yes.
the toll that it took on my body, my kids, my marriage, just like
Mhm.
my everything was I'm still dealing with it, to be very honest with you. And I know
Yeah,
we just got super deep there for a second, but I think it's really important for people to understand that the struggle is real.
it is
And
real. It is.
it is so It is so hard. And so being in a place where you feel like, gosh, man, Tirzah just spoke right to me. Susan just spoke right to me. Somebody else across the country understands how I feel. That is so great. And
That's
I think,
right.
again, that's why your Facebook group is like a little piece of that great community that people can struggle together,
Yes.
could commiserate with one another. Maybe not all of the solutions to their problems are in there, but they feel seen.
Right.
And I think that there's something extremely valuable about that. So I want to commend you for taking action on something that you feel is going to, and I believe as well, is going to really meet the needs of a lot of people with the WedEd Academy. So we will put a link to your Facebook group here. Also, we will make sure to have a link to your app and all the information that people need to get in
Okay,
contact
great.
with you. And I encourage you guys as listeners, again, this is a new thing. Like most people that come onto the show, I've vetted a ton, but this is a new thing, and I feel like it's important to let
Yes.
you know about some of the newer opportunities as well. So before I let you go, Susan, do you have any closing words for our watchers and listeners?
Well, just, to sum it all up, I just think the education resources are so important. And I like what you said about, we're not alone in this journey. We're all in this together. And I love that you shared your heart and your experience about your true struggle, and you're still dealing with some of it today. The same thing with me. This business can be pretty brutal at times, and we really just have to have the determination and the desire to, just dig in and make it happen, and not be afraid to fail. I mean, we learn so much through our failures, but, in the
Absolutely.
end, just, hang in there. We're all in there together, and
Mhm.
set realistic goals. That's the other thing I think I
Absolutely.
would say is don't expect it takes 5 years sometimes to build a
Yeah,
profitable business. Don't come into it expecting, and I know that you said that in the very beginning too, that, just people come into it with stars in their eyes. I know I did.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
and it is a wonderful industry and business, but it's also very
Yes.
challenging and hard. So
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
prepared for the
No,
hard times, celebrate
it's
the good
true.
times.
Absolutely. And I always, something I've even, a lot of times when I'm coaching with people, I talk to them about failure is not your enemy. It's actually a good thing. Like
You
fail
learn from
forward.
it.
There's fail forward, right? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that we like have to be disheartened and feel like, oh my gosh, like you might have done this really elaborate open house and you just thought that you were doing the right thing and you ended up spending 5 grand on an open house and hardly anyone came and you feel like, oh my gosh, I failed.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you were a
Yeah.
little, you didn't know what you were doing the very first time, but it's not necessarily like a bad thing because you learn like, hey, that didn't work and this is what I'm going to try next time, right? And so
Mhm.
it's just changing, like you said, also, it's just that mindset shift to be tenacious, to say, hey, listen, like failure, like in terms of like quitting is not an option for me. Like that's always something for me. Like I don't do something halfway. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go all in. And I will say, like, if you are in the preparation stage of doing your building plan and getting your zoning and all of these things that you're doing, when you're doing your business plan, please, I beg you, set aside a chunk of money. I'm saying 10, 15, $20,000 that is protected, that is for the very purpose of your education.
That's
This could
great
mean I'm
advice.
taking a trip to the wedding MBA. It could mean I'm getting one-on-one coaching. It could mean, hey, I'm going to spend $50 a month and have a membership to X, Y, or Z. Set that money aside. I would say probably
Absolutely.
8 out of 10 venue owners that I talk to that are in that phase have not even considered setting money aside
That's
for their
right.
professional development. And
That's true.
that's a big mistake, really, really big
Yes.
mistake. And I would say as you go into Q3 and you're thinking about your budget for next year, I'm going to challenge you, even if things are tight, that you set aside budget money for your further education. If you're not growing, you're dying. And in every element in our life, like for me, even as like a Christian woman, I believe that to be very true. Like if I'm not pouring into feeding my soul, then I'm drifting, like it's so very
Yeah,
important to
100%.
be watering our plants, which is
Yes.
our souls, and so these, not to stretch this analogy too much, but I think again, it's like we need to pour into our lives if we're going to be successful at anything that we're doing. So I'm so grateful for this conversation. It's so important. It's not had
Thank you.
enough. It's so, so
Yes.
good. But thank you for being here today, Susan. Thank you
Thank you so
for,
much for having
yeah.
me.
Oh,
This has been a
absolutely. Sorry, say that again.
I was just gonna say this has been a great honor. I really appreciate you having me on the program. I love your podcast. It's awesome.
Aw,
And you're
thank
doing
you.
amazing, amazing work. And I'm really thrilled that my members of the app will be able to access you and your materials, your coaching and
Absolutely.
one-on-one. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
It's
excited.
my joy. It's my absolute joy to be one of the many voices that are out there filling your heads with knowledge and craziness. So,
Yeah.
if you've made it this far in the podcast, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if this is your first time listening so that you can get notified of future episodes. I work really hard to bring great quality education to you and free resources for you as venue owners, wedding professionals. Be sure to share this podcast with your fellow wedding pros, and we would love to keep helping this industry rise as a whole, right? We rise together. And I think it's so very special to have someone like you that's a little bit more newer to the scene in terms of the education side of things, but I love that you're here and I love what you're doing. So
Thank you so much.
thank you again, and we'll see you next time on the Venue Success Podcast. Have a great day, friends.